At Delhi's Old Rajinder Nagar, 3 students whose bodies have been found after lots of water gushed into the basement of this coaching center.
ये लग रहा है कि डेथ टोल और हो सकता है क्योंकि उस टाइम पे यहाँ पे बैरिकेडिंग कर रखी थी जब रेस्क्यू चल रहा था एनडीआरएफ का। बाहर एक गेट था राव का, वो वाला गेट टूट गया। गेट टूटने से पानी एकदम रश कर गया। स्टूडेंट्स आर अनएबल टू मैनेज, वो उनको समझ ही नहीं आया कि ऐसा भी कभी हो सकता है कि ऐसा भी किया जाए।
The problem is that the library was in operation. How did they get NOC from the department? So the most decentralized institution is the MCD who gives the licensing and things like that.
I mean, I'm not just talking only about the Rao's IAS. If you see 95% of the libraries over here, they're all at the basement only.
We are living like insects here.
On the 27th of July, inside a library constructed in the basement of a coaching center, a fateful incident occurred. Almost instantaneously, the basement submerged under 10 to 12 feet of water, leaving the students studying in the library with no time to escape. While most could escape, 3 students got trapped inside the basement and died. The incident took place in India's capital, in central Delhi's Old Rajinder Nagar. Heavy rains led to severe waterlogging on the streets outside the center and eventually entered the basement.
तो यहाँ पे बहुत सारी लोकल्स हैं जहाँ पे ऊपर रेसिडेंशियल है, वहीं पे नीचे लोगों ने बिजनेस बना के वो चला रखा है। सर जो लाइब्रेरी बेसमेंट से हम चल रहे हैं उसका कोई लॉजिक नहीं बनता है।
ये पानी आज से नहीं जमा हो रहा है, यहाँ पे बहुत पहले से पानी जमा हो रहा है। बहुत पहले से यहाँ पे लोग शिकायत भी करते आए हैं क्योंकि पिछले साल जब बरसात हुई थी तो यहाँ पे कार वगैरह ऐसे बह रही थी।
सर ये जिम्मेदारी नहीं लेंगे, ये पता है आपको, अभी जब कुछ समय पहले आग लगी थी तब भी इन्होंने एक दूसरे के ऊपर ही फोड़ा था।
Just a week back, in another shocking incident, a 26-year-old student was electrocuted while trying to navigate a waterlogged lane near his accommodation in South Patel Nagar in New Delhi. Monsoon has brought India's national capital to its knees. These incidents only point to the crumbling city infrastructure that is not able to cope. As the city's unpreparedness lay bare, we find out why New Delhi's streets are submerging. What is the state of the drainage network in New Delhi? Does it need an update? And most importantly, what is the way out from these recurring monsoon incidents? And prepare well. They are young. They have big dreams in their eyes. They all dream of becoming top administrators of the country. This is the Old Rajinder Nagar, a hub of coaching centers for civil services examinations, conducted by the Union Public Service Commission, or UPSC. Every year, 1 million candidates apply to appear in the 3-stage exam. However, less than 1% make it to the written test, which is the second stage. That's how grueling the process is. On the 27th of July, the tragic flooding incident resulted in the deaths of 3 students. While most civil service aspirants had a narrow escape, Tanya Soni, Shreya Yadav and Nevin Delvi lost their lives. This is where they were trapped.
थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा बारिश हुआ, एकदम बारिश हुआ और फ्लैश फ्लड हो गया एकदम, मतलब पानी भर गया। उसमें हुआ कि यहाँ पानी भरा हुआ था, एकदम कोई जीप निकली, जीप निकलने से वेव्स बनी और वेव्स बनने से जो इनका बाहर एक गेट था राव का, वो वाला गेट टूट गया। गेट टूटने से पानी एकदम रश कर गया।
The following day, on the 28th of July, thousands took to the streets in New Delhi. Fellow students organized protests outside the coaching center, demanding strict action against the offenders.
First problem over here is the waterlogging. Everyone knows that the monsoon is set, but even few students have also complained about the desilting process, which have not been done. Because even if it rains for 10 or 15 minutes, there's water everywhere over here. So although we have raised our complaints to maintain the canals properly, but then there's no proper response from the MCD. So first, desilting has not been done. If you see Rao's IAS building, it is not an elevated structure. So if at all the canals are not properly maintained, whatever water is there on the road, it is but obvious that it will go inside. And on top of that, when vehicles are moving in the road, all the vehicles will push water aside. So all the water, it is bound to get inside the institute because it is not at all elevated structure.
Now our three demands was that the people who were murdered, they should be given the compensation by the Rao's IAS Coaching Academy, except the government, that 1 crore should be given to each of the families. And second thing, all the people who are responsible for the mishap, they should be put behind bars. A good committee should be formed, and every scrutiny possible should be taken out, and they should be put behind bars. Third thing, the population increased in 2021 after COVID. Many coaching institutes opened here, and now the population has surged to so high levels now that the people who already migrated in 47, they are also giving the PGs their residential properties on rent, which is illegal, which is not possible. All the coaching institutes, they are not following the bylaws. How can a basement can be filled with lakhs of gallons of water within a span of 10 minutes?
So, who is responsible for putting the lives of these students in danger? And how did this incident happen in the first place?
The point really is that the reason why these fail is not because there's a library. The reason why they fail is that the level of compliances that are required to operate something that is subterranean is quite a lot. You must have adequate checks regularly to make sure that your pumps are working. You must have adequate facilities to ensure that in case electricity fails, which it can in a heavy downpour, we will lose power. Your power backup is working to drive the pumps to pump the water out. And before even all of that, have you built adequate measures to make sure that the water never gets in? So any point of entry to the basement must be higher than the perceived flood level outside the building. So prevention, there's nothing better than that.
Following road blockades, a candle march and protests, Municipal Corporation of Delhi or MCD officials met with students. The officials announced an immediate compensation of 10 lakh rupees or $11,900 for the families of the deceased. The MCD has also sealed at least 13 coaching centers in Old Rajinder Nagar, operating illegally in basements. The police also arrested 4 owners of the building and basement of the Rao Coaching Center, bringing the total arrests to 7.
हमने पहले 2 व्यक्ति गिरफ्तार किए थे और अब हमने 5 और लोगों को इस केस में गिरफ्तार किया है। इसमें 4 वो हैं जो इस बेसमेंट के ओनर्स थे और एक व्यक्ति वो है जो उस रोड से बहुत ही तेज़ गति से अपने गाड़ी को ले जाते हुए दिखा है, जिसके कारण उस बिल्डिंग के गेट का डैमेज होना देखा गया है।
Let's look into the fee structure of Rao's IAS Coaching Center in New Delhi, where 3 civil service aspirants died after being trapped in the flooded basement. According to the coaching center's website, the General Studies Integrated Foundation costs 1,75,500 rupees or $2,096 and 95,500 rupees or $1,140. The optional subjects course of 6 months costs 55,000 rupees or $660 and 45,500 rupees or $540. And the Civil Services Aptitude Test coaching course of 3 months costs 18,500 rupees or $220 and 12,500 rupees or $150. With a fee structure like this, many questions arise. To begin with, why was the coaching center running a library in the basement? Why wasn't the library constructed on the ground or upper floor? Is it to do with money? The monthly rental?
आप क्लासेस की बात करें ना, बच्चे बेसमेंट में रहते हैं, बच्चे कैबिन्स में रहते हैं. अगर आप देखेंगे ना, आप टोक्यो की वीडियोस देखते होंगे यूट्यूब पे, कैबिन्स होते हैं ना, जाले में जैसे लोग रहते हैं, उससे गंदी हालत में बच्चे ना रहते हैं.
There is a political, administrative, coaching institutes, everybody's nexus involved, and they have their common consensus that student is a tool of commercialism, and since student batches keeps rotating, therefore it's easy to galvanize the situation because there are new bunches of students coming and going, right? So in that way, the demands and the concern of the students cannot get persisted.
As the United Building Bylaws for New Delhi, basements can't be used for classrooms, libraries, or any other commercial activities. Yet many coaching centers are found to be in violation of the rule and are operating libraries from the basement. MCD seals 13 such basements and coaching institutes in response. Let's now take you back to another incident that happened last year. On the 15th of June 2023, a fire broke out in a building housing coaching centers in Mukherjee Nagar, Delhi. "61 students suffered injuries. Videos showed students desperately trying to rappel down the building using ropes and wires, hanging on to air conditioners and even jumping off the upper floors. The court had, in July 2023, warned that there cannot be a coaching center running contrary to the MPD 2021, and ordered the closure of such institutes running in contravention of the Master Plan for Delhi, or MPD 2021. The MCD then conducted a survey of coaching centers in Mukherjee Nagar in the national capital. However, another order of the Delhi High Court on May 10th this year led to a fresh survey. In response to that blaze, Delhi Fire Service, or DFS, and the MCD surveyed private coaching institutes in North Delhi's Mukherjee Nagar, focusing on those operating from the ground or upper floors without necessary fire clearance. Survey teams inspected 90 coaching centers and found lax compliance with fire safety regulations. One question still lingers. While the surveys were on to verify the coaching center's compliance with fire safety regulations, was it also not important to check the coaching centers across Delhi on all parameters for safety, including the illegal basement matter? Were the officials waiting for a disaster to happen?
It's very necessary, not only from humanity or ethical point of view, but also the master plan for the mixed land use regulation. And this is the master plan of Delhi 2021. Very clearly mentions that there will be a continuous monitoring by the concerned local body or urban local body, that means mostly MCD, to check these variations, the deficiencies of the local services, etc., including drainage, and mixed land use will be surveyed. Surveys will be undertaken very, very often, as often as possible, so that it can be they can prepare what kind of amenities, what kind of services need to be strengthened, which is not happening, which should happen.
While the political parties blame each other for the death of 3 students in the basement, at the very center of this issue is the struggling drainage network of the national capital.
Delhi used to naturally drain itself, and the natural drainage system were the nalas of Delhi. Some of them were built by the Tughlaqs about 700 years ago, and they would take the water all the way to the river, and then the river would sort of drain it out. That was the natural ecosystem, and then we, of course, built multiple cities in Delhi and that. Today, the nalas are, as you're well aware, they're all pretty much choked, they carry sewage, and 3 of the primary nalas are pretty much dysfunctional.
New Delhi's existing drainage plan is 48 years old. It was devised in the year 1976 and can handle around 50 millimeters of rainfall in a 24-hour period. Any amount of rainfall exceeding this, the city's drains begin to overwhelm and overflow.
This drainage master plan was prepared by the Irrigation and Flood Department of Delhi government way back in 1976, and it was approved by the government of India as well as by the government of Delhi. But that time the population of Delhi was hardly 25 lakh, and now the population is more than 2 crores. So this master plan has not been updated, has not been revised. 3 years back, some master plan for drainage was being updated with the help of the IIT Delhi, but because of certain problems, it could not be approved, it could not be notified. So the problem of drainage is really severe, and many low-lying areas have been built upon. And drainage, as all of us know, there are 500 points in Delhi where this drainage is repeatedly occurring, and the roads etc. get submerged. So drainage master plan is a must and is also required.
Spells of over 50 millimeters in a single day are becoming common in New Delhi. In 2021, for instance, the city recorded 1,512.4 millimeters of rainfall till December 29, the second highest ever. Last year, in July 2023, Delhi saw the monthly rainfall touch 384.6 millimeters, the third highest for July in the last 20 years, as per India Meteorological Department data. However, the situation has not changed even after a year. On the 28th of June this year, monsoon arrived in the national capital, bringing with it 228 millimeters of rainfall in 24 hours. It was the highest rainfall in a 24-hour period in Delhi in June, after 1936. Why does New Delhi's drainage rely on the 1976 master plan? Why has the old drainage system not been revamped yet? Where is the delay? And what are the implications of this delay on the city's urban development and its dwellers?
We have to re-examine our concepts of drainage or human safety. These things have to be radically altered, and we have to put more faith on the people, especially the young people, and give them much more responsibility than what is being done now. Because most of the people I find, whether in the government or outside the government, are obsolete in terms of their knowledge. So they don't know what has to be done in case of such an emergency.
With big dreams and expectations, thousands of students aspiring to crack India's most coveted examination arrive in New Delhi every year. Once into the bylanes of Old Rajinder Nagar, Karol Bagh, Mukherjee Nagar, and the likes, they are greeted by the towering facades of coaching institutes and a sea of advertising boards. But beneath the surface of this hopeful haven lies a web of commercialization, exploitation, and negligence that turns dreams into nightmares. The The coaching industry runs on a thin promise, and in exchange for big money, this massive hyper-competitive environment of India's 3,000 crore Indian rupees or $358 million UPSC coaching industry, which began as an unorganized setup, today runs like corporates. Some institutes offer relatively affordable options, starting from as low as 10,000 rupees or just $120, making it a budget-friendly choice for many aspirants. However, on the other end of the spectrum, there are institutes that charge up to 3 lakh rupees or $3,580. The number of aspirants taking the coveted exam has only doubled in the past decade, from 500,000 students in 2012 to over 1,100,000 in 2022. Let's look at the statistics of the number of students who applied versus the number that cleared exams. In 2020, of 1,057,948 students who applied, 796 cleared the exam. And in 2022, from 1,135,697 applicants, 933 cleared the exam. Over the years, the residential colony of these areas has turned into homes for thousands of aspirants. With the rise in the number of students and centers, the demand for accommodation facilities and rental fees have shot up as well.
This is a slum. This is a slum, an expensive slum, we can say. The living condition, the food, the rent is overrated and pathetic. I must say this. A middle class person cannot survive here.
And if the exorbitant rent for cramped rooms isn't problematic enough, the insensitivity of landlords only adds to the many challenges.
A few days back, a student committed suicide here because of the rent, the expenses here. We used to spend 2.5 to 3 lakh on the coachings only, and not only, and apart from room rent and living here expenses, apart from this. This area is very much expensive, and owners and brokers used to just betray every time student. They betray us by saying ki we will not give you direct rooms, we'll give the rooms by brokerage only. So this is the condition right now, and this won't change, I guess. अभी तक जब ये चेंज नहीं हुआ है तो आगे तो क्या ही होगा ये चेंज. बहुत वर्स्ट है यहाँ पे रहना. We are living like insects here.
These passionate young aspirants come from far-off places, to India's national capital, to pursue their dreams of becoming successful IFS, IAS or IPS officers of the country. The tragic incident in Old Rajinder Nagar only exposes the shocking negligence of authorities, but also highlights the urgent need for strict enforcement of building bylaws to ensure safety of students and the public at large. At this juncture, it is crucial to ask, are these UPSC aspirants being pushed into a death trap